What's really going on, everyone? Back with a very, very, very special episode as we are recording. It is just Henry and myself. We have shined the bat signal. It is Tuesday, September 10th. We are recording this maybe 15, 20 minutes after the first debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump. Before we get into Henry's extensive notes, which he says that he has, be sure to follow us on all of our social media at X, Instagram, and TikTok at WRGO Pod. Be sure to like, listen, and subscribe on all of our streaming platforms, including YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Henry, we're taking it back to 2019, baby. How are you?
What's up? What's Sam? I'm really feeling good, bro. I've enjoyed the debate in
Mhm.
terms of just watching Kamala eat. I was like, yes, Howard. Yes, Howard. She came out swinging. Like, soon as
Yeah,
it was like, go. It was go.
yeah.
It was go.
I'll say this before, let's level set. Before the debate, what was your mood like? Because I was nervous. I was just nervous.
I wouldn't say I didn't like I knew she was gonna do a good job.
Mhm.
I just wanted to know how bad he was gonna put his foot in his mouth. I wanted him to. I ain't
Go
even gonna
stage.
lie. I wanted him to slip, my boy. I wanted him to slip so bad, bro. But he dang near did that in every other way possible.
Yeah, and we can at least I just the first thing that kind of like struck me was just like their introduction to each other because apparently according to everyone they had never like actually met
Yeah.
before. They'd never met. That was their first time actually being in each other's like face. And just the awkwardness of Trump doing a beeline to his podium and Trump and Kamala clearly trying to shake his hand and her basically having it just like visually, I was like, this is
The
weird.
misogyny was all over the place, bro. Like he
Yeah,
was
or just like the
telling
disrespect.
her to be quiet and
Hmm.
stuff like that, like where I'm talking. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
So what were you have notes. Feel free to talk me through your notes or talk me through your biggest takeaways. I have a couple, but I want to start with you because we were kind of we for I feel like this is the first debate where we haven't really been talk where we didn't really talk that much. We just like actually
I
watched
agree with that.
it.
I was kind of stuck to the TV for
Yeah.
the most part. I wouldn't say I have like huge takeaways. I would say for the people, I think they at least have a sense of policy, uh,
I think so too.
understanding of where she's going, or like Trump said, the concept of where she's aiming to go. Um, and I think that's good because I mean, yeah, it might sound similar because, like, let's say Biden and they put out a housing
Yeah.
plan. She can now champion this as her own thing and
Hmm.
actually get some groundwork. I wish she should have said something about them Supreme Court limits because I'm curious to know why that hasn't come up. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, I'm glad she spoke to her housing and like the child tax credit and how she plans to, like, continue to go out the billion-dollar corporations and try to level set it for regular Americans. Like she said, she is kind of focused on the future of leadership and like new
Hmm.
leaders. And I thought that was a good point because that kind of pings, okay, focus on Congress and the Senate and building
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting by her. I mean, she's just so smart. Where I think she clearly tried to establish a line where she didn't really even talk about Biden like at all. And I think that was so, so smart. Where I think she was obviously like, she would play it off of like, well, I've been vice president for 3 years. So my experience, she would basically kind of like cleverly flip it, not of like, because Biden, whether we like it or not, he's unpopular. And she cleverly just like avoided kind of getting involved with him, where she was just kind of like, well, as vice president, so she can clearly see like, you don't know me, but like, I'm prepared, I'm experienced, like, I've been in these rooms as vice president, I did this, but not necessarily tying it to Biden. I feel like was actually so, so smart. And you could see towards the end when Trump was really, really reeling, he kept bringing up Biden more to try to connect her to, to try to connect Biden to Kamala. And Kamala was just like every time, like, nope, nope. Like, it was just such, I mean, it sounds like the funny thing, like comparing this to the first debate, it's like when you get, and I think at some points, and we talked about this in 2016 or right after when we started the pod, Hillary Clinton didn't necessarily bait Trump bad. I like don't think that, but I think Kamala is just she's really good on her feet. Like she's just really quick, and I think she was able to disarm Trump not in like an aggressive way, but in like little subtle ways,
Yeah, it
in
was
like
very
little
tactical.
digs, like where, hey, well, you did this. I don't, hey, you have 30 charges pending. And then she would just go to the next thing. She wouldn't like harp on it because I think
Mhm.
everyone knows how bad Trump is, but she would just kind of like give you little reminders throughout of like, oh,
And
well,
I
you've
think
been
that's
convicted of
what,
sexual assault. And then she would just go off to the next thing. Like she was so quick.
for me, that's what, like, I don't want to say stood out, but like
Mm-hmm.
it was so like cool to see how she maneuvered,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't aggressive, but she
Mm-mm.
did come out like on a stern grounding and like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is the box, and
Yeah.
we're not gonna go out of it. I'm gonna let the American people know how bad of a person you are, how you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a plan, you don't have a vision, you're just trying to like
Help
build up
herself.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and continue to put money in your pocket and your friends' pockets. And I think she did a great job of kind of like laying that all out. And kind of to how you said, like, she laid out her experience not just as VP, but across the board. I work
Mm-hmm.
for the people. Like she literally said it. Honestly, she
Yeah.
was. I went from a DA to the Attorney General to,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, Senator to Vice President. That lets you know I didn't just get here like these other people. I understand the trajectory of building something for yourself, and I'm trying to protect that, and not only for myself, but you all too. Uh, for me, it just hit. It hit.
It did. It really
Really,
did.
it really
It,
hit.
yeah, and I think like to that point, even I think just the reactions were so. I mean, I feel like as us, we can kind of relate. Like you could just clearly sense she was like, "This dude is stupid," and like, yeah, like that has to do with kind of like the aesthetic of it all, which matters to a certain extent. But I do think there was just a level of kind of like, "You're setting me up to hit you with so much," like where he would just ramble, and I think it was actually really smart by Kamala in certain points where even on points where I would probably say were not like her strongest points in terms of like some of maybe like the stuff in terms of like the Israel Gaza situation, she wouldn't really like over talk. She would let Trump go, where she would basically just be like, here's what I would do. And then Trump would go. In certain moments where when it came to like abortion, she would very quickly be like, I want to get a word in after him. But on her weaker moments, she was just like, I'll let Trump
Let him cook. I would
drown. I'll let
agree.
Trump
Wait, wait,
drown.
wait, wait, wait. You like the Israel thing for me was
Mm-hmm.
her weakest moment.
I think so too, and I think, but that's I think she's smart, and I think she knew that where she was like, it's her weakest moment. One because there's only so many things that she can do. She's VP, she can't like necessarily get in front of the current her boss technically, so I think she just kind of said her position and kind of checked every box, quote unquote, and then just moved on. And then I think after that, she didn't. She only said one. She only gave one answer to that. She didn't like after Trump spoke. She didn't say anything. And I think that was actually just really tactfully smart to be like, this is not a winning issue for me, or this is not the thing that's going to help me right now. The
Do
more I
you
talk
think
about
that,
this, the
okay,
hurt.
to that point though, to not
Mm-hmm.
help, she like, if I'm not misremembering, one of the first statements on that Israel question was like, listen, I'm with Israel. If it was me, my
Mm-hmm.
people would have, whatever. That's what
Mm-hmm.
America would have did. So like you don't think that, like, them people was protesting at her rallies and all that stuff. Like
Yeah. I mean, I think the funny thing is the way I see it is that she gave the answer that she needed to give. I don't think that was necessarily the answer that people who look like us, who have our type of experience, would have necessarily wanted. But I understand why. She couldn't have said anything else. If she would have went off on something else, the whole conversation from there and probably the media takeaway would have been Kamala said she's not standing with Israel. So like she checked every box that she needed to check, but she put in clear guardrails, which I think of like, yeah, we need to actually hold Israel accountable to make sure that they're not just going rogue. And here are the things that we would have to do. She kind of avoided the conditioning of aid thing, which I think personally we've all talked about of like that's something that we should do. But for a debate, it's not about, it's the audience. And I think for what she needed to do, she checked the box, even if like that was the only section where I was kind of like, yeah, there's a little bit left on there. But also, if she would have went there, that probably would have been a problem for her. So I just think she was so good, and I think I'm curious your thoughts. When I was the longer it kept going, I was watching with Ash for most of it. Trump is just such a bad candidate, and it's like it. I think it took Kamala for everyone to, or for me to just be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he's just. I mean, we already knew
Don't
he was
know.
crazy,
He
but
literally doesn't know anything. He has people around him that tells him he's right and just kisses because like no way you can walk away from this and say, "Oh yeah, I'm voting for Trump." That's the guy. First of all, what did he say? What he gonna do besides billions, billions, dangerous immigrants?
that was his. That was his like. Yeah, that was like the thing he always kept going back to, and like the this is how smart Kamala is. She said that. You catch it? She said that like 30 minutes in. She was like, when he doesn't have an answer, he's always going to go back to immigration, and because he doesn't have anything else to talk about. And
Mhm.
time after, I'm shocked you didn't like re-reference that to be like, this is the third time he's proved me right. He can't answer the question, so he's just going to go back to the one thing he feels like he can talk about.
No,
Even
she kind of at some point did say again at the
oh,
beginning
I
of
might,
the day. Uh,
so I might have missed
uh,
it.
yeah, she didn't directly say, but she
Yeah.
did kind of call him out on like I said, you're gonna hear lies over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over. I think for me,
How do you feel about her doing that? I love that. That was so different. I've never seen anyone do that before.
wait, what you mean?
In terms of her, it was maybe like we were like 20, 30 minutes in, and she basically like gave the audience Trump's playbook, where she was like, he's gonna do this, he's gonna lie, he's gonna do all of this. I
You
just think
didn't
that
never.
was honest.
I mean, well, one, she's an attorney, so I
Mm-hmm.
guess I've heard that before in
Yeah.
terms of a legal situation. Like I've heard
Yeah, but not in terms of a debate. That's just really I mean, I think that's just it's
that
so
shows you
like
how smart she is. That
yeah,
shows
it's
you
so
she's
like
an
break the fourth
attorney.
wall.
And
Yeah.
that shows you she's literally the most qualified person for the job. And I think she really was able to kind of paint him to your point and bring that out and speaking more to what like Trump did or didn't do.
Mm,
Um, she really did a good job of allowing him to paint himself as the idiot and
yeah.
xenophobic and
Yeah.
just narcissist that he is. And he, like you said, he fell for it every single time.
He
And
couldn't help himself.
I was almost like laughing, and there's
Mhm.
no accountability. Like the January 6th stuff, he
Yeah, it was
literally
so bad.
skipped way past it and beyond. And then he probably brought up immigration again, if I'm not tripping.
No, he did. No, he did. He tied, and this is like watching it in real time is just so baffling. Where you're like, hold on, how did we get from immigration to this one person who was at January 6th being shot to what did she do when these other people came here? But that's why I shouldn't be holding anyone accountable because all I had to do was just show up at a rally. I wasn't involved. And it's like, what you just said you were involved earlier because you
The
said it
guy,
was a great rally.
and it was so, I love the moderators and
Oh,
how
talk about that. Yeah,
they
talk about
held
that.
him to the fire because to like how you were just saying, like
Mm-hmm.
he kept attempting to rebut them and when they're fact checking him in real time. Well, I saw it on this, or I heard it here, or I read it there. So it's like, okay, so
That
you say all of this fake news, but you're sitting here repeating it. And literally, for me, he and anybody that supports him is that example. Like you just repeat stuff that you didn't actually thoroughly look up. You just heard it off the whim or something, or made it up because you thought it was right, and you just gonna go with it.
yeah, I thought the moderators were to me excellent. And I'm not just saying that just because I think they were calling balls and strikes, and they were responding to what I think both candidates were giving them. There were moments where they pushed on Kamala a little bit, where especially when there were some answers in terms of like when they asked her about like her changing positions, they followed up on her there because she was clear, like to be honest, she was clearly trying to not talk about that. She mentioned the fracking. She didn't talk about the guns that much, where I guess she had like a stock buyback or the healthcare thing. She avoided that because she doesn't want to talk about that. And the moderator kind of followed up. She gave another kind of like, I don't want to talk about this answer. But at least the interesting thing of how at least they did it was that when they pressed Kamala, she just answered the question. Trump would kind of go back and forth with them, which only encouraged the moderator to kind of get more involved, which was like interesting. My favorite quote was when David Muir, the man who was the moderator, to your point, Henry, when Trump was like, "Oh, I saw this on here. It was on Fox News. It was on TV," and David Muir just kind of like politely, but like very sternly, just kind of says, "I didn't get that from TV. I got it from the mayor." And it was just like, what?
Yeah, it was the city. It was the city
It was the
manager,
Springfield manager, and he was like, "I didn't get that from TV. I got it from the city manager." And it
right?
was just like a very quiet, like kind of like back up,
And then
like
Trump rebuttal was, I bet a city manager would say something like that or something like that, like just trying to deny the man's expertise and job.
or
And
just
then
trying to deny the direct quote. It's like you're in
and
your
then to
bubble.
that
Yeah.
point, like that, like a transition to how good the moderators did when he was saying like the Haitians and eating cats and dogs, or he kept saying the people in
I forget the place. We keep going.
yeah,
Basically, like, there's no
wherever,
evidence of
he
that.
kept saying people in wherever were eating the cats and dogs. And that's he's referencing like Haitians, Asians, those people that migrate to the Midwest. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's like, bro, you're being xenophobic as because how
And
are
I
you
and I
using language like that? And then on top of that, if we're talking about language he used, and then point, he was like, I seen it on TV. And then moderator came back and was like, yeah, no, there's no proof of that. And he's like, well, I seen it. It's
so
like,
literally he's like, "Well, I saw it on TV." He like doubled down, and I think it was just such a contrast. And I think the interesting thing was that I think debating Trump just takes a lot of I'm trying to like find the word. It takes a lot of discipline because I think he gives you a lot to attack him on, and I think Kamala really knew the points to like follow up and the points to just be like, I'm not even going to respond to him because he just seems crazy, and I'm going to let him be crazy. And I think it was so interesting the moments where she would jump in to just be like, hold on, wait a minute, I want to clarify what you just said, kind of like repeating it back and then letting it go. But other times, like when Trump gave the cats and dog answer, Kamala didn't jump in. She was just like, he's nuts. Like, I'm not, no, there's nothing that I can say to make him seem crazier. I'm just going to let him kind of think himself. And it's just so, she's just really, really smart. And I think that having someone like that, I really just miss. It's not to say like Biden, I think debated him well in 2020. I don't think it was like this, where I clearly think she came in with a strategy, a direction, and she's just really quick on her feet. And I think like just seeing that level of engagement of kind of like I'm gonna get in now, I'm gonna get in here, or even like I think that we're all on the same culture here. Like even just seeing her when Trump would say something crazy and she would just kind of smirk, and you would kind of slowly just see her be like, I'm about to tear his ass up. Like
because she would giggle. She giggled one time.
she did. She
We
did.
got one good laugh out of her.
Yeah. Or even just him. There was one response that made Ash and I just bust out laughing. He had said something so crazy, and the woman, had pivoted to Kamala, and she had said, Madam Vice President, do you have anything to say? And she just, to your point, she chuckled and she was like, that's just so rich. And it's like that level of just kind of like, not just kind of going to attack, but also just being like, I need a moment to sit up here and be like, what
Are
I
you?
want to say is this: Are you for real? Are you dead ass? Like,
I remembered that moment, but I don't remember what he said.
neither
Uh,
do I. And like that's just the funny thing is I think Kamala figured out a like because I think Trump. I mean, Trump was bad in that first debate, but even in other debates and like Hillary, they wouldn't kind of deal with it as if like Trump is just the joke that he actually is to everyone else. Where it's like
it's
everything
exactly.
they would respond for was like, "Oh my gosh, how dare you say this? How dare you do that?" And Kamala was just like,
Why am I wasting
I don't
time?
even know what to say to that. Let me
Like,
talk about the future. And it's like that level of like, because I think people, you know, if you're inclined to vote for Kamala, people think Trump is a joke. And I think she kind of mimicked that in terms of like, this dude is a clown. And we all know that. And I'm going to treat him like that. And like very subtle. I'm not going to like openly laugh, but I'll just kind of be like, even when like he would have like small little reactions after he would say something, be like, let me, whoa, okay. So here's what I would do on that issue. And it's like, even that like 10 seconds was just so good. And I think it's just smart. It's really smart. I think it's, I'm curious your thoughts. I feel like a lot of Kamala's moments work perfectly in kind of like the social media kind of like clip age. But what do you think in terms of like sharing on like TikTok or X or, I feel like it's like a lot of her moments could go viral ish, like whether it's like her facial reactions or just kind of like, what? But I'm curious
Yeah.
your thoughts if you saw it that way.
She's a personable person,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
honestly, and I think that was also something she was able
Yeah.
to display decently well, is, like, how like, she's a person,
Hmm.
she's not like this character we're used to.
Egomaniac.
Right. I think that was pretty cool. The way she responded was like very, I wouldn't say tactical, but it was,
Hmm.
yeah, smart. Like you just said, like it was, she went about it in a way of like, okay, I have to get these points off.
Hmm.
But I also have to engage him enough to like kind of do what she
Get under
did.
his skin.
Yeah, and kind of ruffle him up so he can show his true self. And I think especially during the blackness question, again, kind of like, and I
Hmm.
think maybe
Yeah.
even on some of like the war questions or the more policy and funding
Mm.
questions, she tried to give you the history behind it, or try to help you maybe better understand, okay, this is how we got here. These are acts that
Yeah.
actually
This is not an isolated thing.
right. And I love that because, in my opinion, it gives someone a better understanding. And let's say a person that doesn't care about politics, it gives them that kind of like, middle line of, okay, I can't just take what this, because what the was he saying during most of those questions? Just babbling. But like, I can't just take what he's saying for a grand. I can at least Google who Zelensky is and figure out what the
Yeah. Or
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, because you made me just you unlocked it. I'm like I feel like we're just unlocking memories here in real time. Even the question that when they asked about, hey, like how do you feel about Trump basically claiming you're not black? Um, there was like an ether scenario where Kamala just could have like unloaded the clip on him, but she didn't. I don't think she did. And to your point, she was very
You
much
wait, wait,
so,
wait, wait.
or rather, I don't think she went at it personally. She went at it from a standpoint. To your point, I never thought about this till you mentioned it. Like she walked you through the history, where she was like, "Well, he was the one who didn't rent his units to black families. Central
Central
Park
Park 5 was
Five,
brilliant.
right?"
Central
And
Park
it's like,
5 was brilliant.
yeah.
And then Obama, the cherry on top.
And it's like to your point, I never thought about just how, and granted, maybe because she's a lawyer, but like she gives you the case. Like she just drops like, okay, well, here, here, here. And even to that point, I'm curious your thoughts. I think it's also like this isn't about me. Here's all the other things that he did to other people, where it's like he denied families, he tried to kill these
And
teenagers.
like I
He,
think
yeah.
and she I don't know if this is good or bad. Or let's
Hmm.
say like if I was a political analyst, I would maybe, if I was analyzing this word by word, bit by bit, in that moment, Trump got kind of defending himself. Well, she has to take you back so many years or whatever.
Hmm.
But like for me, let's say all the black men who
Yeah.
seemingly forgot about this,
We forgot
or
about it. She's reminding you.
uh, people that maybe didn't know these things about Trump,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
people who just seemingly again forgot the history, and then you put January 6th on top of it, and then you
Hmm.
he clearly is not fighting for you, and then you put he's fighting for police immunity. It's like, okay, why are you voting for this guy? Especially if you are of a darker pigmentation.
Yeah.
So it becomes a real question of honestly intellect, F morals and values.
At this point, yeah.
Sit down and think about this. He is telling you, I'm protecting the rich. He said taxes, economy. I'm gonna put money in your pocket. Yeah. I'm putting money in my. He just showed you what his tax plan looked like. It don't benefit you right now. It's only gonna get.
I don't think he said he had one.
He might get a
We
concept of one.
we got a concept. That's going to be the episode. That's going to be the episode title. The concept of a debate analysis.
No, but
Uh,
for real,
I
because
want to
at
get your
first he didn't know if it was gonna happen. It came together real last minute. I'm talking about the debate itself.
yeah. I want to get your thoughts at least like holistically. Where do you think we go from here? I mean, I don't. I'm trying not to take
We
my
need to vote tomorrow.
Yeah, I know we do. Like, or rather, this is a PSA from Henry and myself. If you have not requested your absentee ballot or anything or early vote dates, let's go do this as early as possible. Just get it
Hey,
out the way now.
please, please, and if you in the Atlanta area, kind of West Side Park, my bad, West Side Park on September 22nd, we gonna get you registered, my boy.
There it is. Going forward, what do you think this means? Do you think this changes anything? I don't think it changes anything on the whole. I think it's just another data point that Kamala can use against Trump in terms of like this dude just doesn't care. But for Cat,
You
and
don't
I
think
learned
the
this,
polls will be affected?
maybe like 1%, but this race is really tight. So 1% might be
I
a
was
huge
gonna say to
difference.
you, I was gonna say or ask you,
Mm,
like, I think if you were undecided,
talk about it. Yeah, go, keep going.
this maybe probably change. Like, if it did it, I'm very curious
mhm.
if it can. And
It
then
was,
also, my bad, it's like a two-part
yeah,
question.
no, yeah, go ahead.
Um, like for people that weren't even like, okay, I'm good on vote and I don't care. Like, I hope you see it to the point of going viral or
Mhm.
whatever. You see a clip, you see a moment, it's like, dang, okay, she's snapping. Like, let me go see what this talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, let me see what you're talking about.
But
To your
yeah,
first point, I think the interesting thing is they had like a focus group too. And granted, like I don't know who these people are, and these like it couldn't be me because I don't work like that. I know you don't either. A lot of people who were like quote unquote undecided were not necessarily deciding between Trump and Biden. Not Trump, Biden, Trump and Kamala. They were necessarily deciding between like I'm not gonna vote or I'll vote for her. And that is really interesting where I feel like it's not like all of a sudden it's going to be like I was going to vote for Trump. Now I'm for Harris. Like I don't a lot of the people in this focus group were just kind of like it's either Kamala gets me or I'm just not doing it. And I think to your
a
point,
lot of people are like that though.
I think she did a good job of getting those people.
Right.
And I don't think Trump necessarily one Trump didn't gain anyone from this. Like there's no person I think or somebody is because that's how numbers work. But like there's not a large amount of people who watch that. I can just personally think and just be like, okay, I'm now sold. That's not to say that he also lost anybody. I don't think he did either. Because I think he's crazy and like he didn't say anything crazy enough that's like going to be like a headline. The Trump dog thing is funny, but I don't think that's going to be like the first thing you see when they do the debate wrap up about Trump's performance. I think it's going to be about what Kamala is saying, but also I think she did a good job of at least like, hey, if you didn't know me, here's me. I'm competent, I'm smart, I'm quick on it. You can clearly say, like, here are my values. I'm passionate. I'm showing my personality. I think she did a good job of saying, like, hey guys, like, come on, it's okay.
No,
Given the
because like
caveat
to
of,
that
mm-hmm,
point of the undecided, I think a lot of people don't trust her or think she just
I agree.
they like, oh, they gave her this. This was their plan all
Yeah,
along.
yeah.
And it's like, well, if your manager broke his leg and can't come back to work, you gonna try to get the job, aren't you?
Somebody got to step up. You
Because
know, might as well be an internal higher than an external. You'd be pissed then, right?
what is you
And the,
talking about? But on the serious note, I think like you just said, she laid out a good job of like
mhm.
one, this is always the plan, baby. Don't get it wrong, don't get it mistaken. I wanted this from day one, and I didn't just want it and inherit it like he did or steal it, as
No,
she clearly
exactly. Yeah. And
outlined.
even and that's so funny because even I think like another one of those like tiny nips she took at him was like, well, I don't have the luxury of, inheriting $400 million to start something. and going bankrupt 6 times. And then like she just like it's just like a quick little like And then the funny thing is that then because Trump can't help himself, he then is like, well, it wasn't 400 million, it was a fraction of that. And then at that point, it's like Trump can't understand to anyone else how that sounds. And
Hmm.
Kamala didn't follow up on what he said. She was just like,
I'm gonna let you cook. She
I'm gonna
gave a
let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook. Like go off, my boy. But to your point, I think Kamala did a really good job of like comforting people who might not have known her. Um, and I feel like even as someone who I was always in her corner, I was really impressed by what she did in terms of like just laying everything out and kind of just doing it just such a good job of like, hey, here's what I'm trying to do, and here's
listen
this asshole that I'm debating against. And I'm not, but I appreciated that she didn't let Trump rattle her, and she was basically
at
like,
all.
you being crazy is like he just happens to be over there. And she treated him like that. Like, you're just that crazy guy over there that, like, I'm going to just throw jabs at, but, like, this ain't about me and you. It's about me and the people who I'm talking to. And I think she understood that, where, like, Biden and Clinton would get so wrapped up in what Trump was saying that then they made it about like that engagement, that interaction, and not like, no, actually, the viewer, you are the most important thing. Here's what I would do for like you down the road. That has nothing to do with him. He's just there talking crazy. But like,
I
here I
mean,
am.
because like honestly, Trump didn't explain or speak to or engage the American people at all. He just
No,
kept
he didn't.
words and whining like a fucking child.
I mean, the this is a word sandwich I think I would never hear in my life. Supporting transgender illegal aliens. Like, what the
That's your headline right there. I forgot about that. Actually,
that's so that's just so crazy. And I think like to that point, it's like the crazy stuff that you have to remember that he said, because he said five other crazy things right after that.
bro,
Um,
it's like what do they call it? Word
a word, I don't know. My grandmother would say a word jumble. When you just take words
yeah,
and you
that's what
just
I was
shake it, you
that's
shake them up. And,
yeah, that's the
yeah,
word I was
it's like
looking
a
for.
walking Mad Lib. Any final thoughts? I know it's 11:42 as we're recording this, so you know we haven't done one of these in a long time. But anything that you feel like you're looking forward to in the next couple weeks, or like you want to look out for, or rather, here's actually my final question to you. Um, what impact do you think this will have on like the ads that you see in the Atlanta area? Do you think it will? Do you think you'll see some of these
They better
clips?
ramp it up. They better go 10. I see like 3 a day. I need to see 10 a day.
Mm,
I need Atlanta to show we have to, bro. We have to, as Georgia, we Atlanta metropolitan area in some parts of like southeast Georgia.
mm, like Savannah and all those other places.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what's going to like turn Georgia. That's what turned
Mm,
Georgia blue in what 2020.
yeah.
Uh, so like yeah, we they need to we
You got to
need
step it up.
we need the ads. Like I be hearing them, I be seeing them.
You said more.
Bro, get on these nerves like it's the one top 100 song on Billboard, my boy. Like
You said every time I turn the channel, I want to be hearing
I need
Kamala
to hear
Harris for the people.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it.
There
It's
it is.
like you know how folks be like, you know how it be, bro. Like
Well,
I need
going.
her in this, bro. You don't understand. Like,
Hey, Henry said we're not going back. As Kamala said.
no,
Well,
no.
we'll let that be the final word. If you're in Georgia, please do register to vote. And be sure you can catch up on all of the information about voting in your state, particularly in Georgia, where we know we have a large viewership, on all of our social media. That includes Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at WRGO Pod. Be sure to like, listen, and subscribe on all of our streaming platforms. That includes YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, thanks.